Headlines is brought to you by the generous support of our viewers and the following community partners. Best Cord Cutting TV, Before It's Tax Preparation, Bravo's Restaurant Bar, Casa Antonieta India Lapa, El Rey Lounge de Versalles, John Boutique Hotel and Co-work, Monzon Brewing Company, Puerto Vallarta Neurofeedback, Owners Reps Puerto Vallarta, and Siam Cocina Thai. Thank you for your support, and thank you for supporting our community partners.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Here we are. I'm multitasking as always. I haven't shown you what this looks like in a while, and maybe one of these days I'll just take a photograph of my desk because there's my main screen, there's the other screen, there's the iPad, there's my little control button machine thingy. So we're always busy and we're always happy to be here. It is September 30th. It's almost the end of the month. And I have all kinds of interesting updates. Well, I have three updates from things that we announced yesterday. And I also have some new items to share with you. Fun stuff. So we're going to get started while we can with the news. As you know, capital letter Q gets your comment mentioned later on. Capital letter N gets you a nice welcome if you're watching live for the first time. Let's see what we have. And where are my notes? Hold on just a second. Let me get my notes in front of me. There you go. So, Tribuna de la Bahía has broken down the new trash collection schedule that went effective yesterday. And it is complicated, like some new, everybody's going to get trash picked up every day. But some areas get trash collection early in the morning while others get trash collection in the evening. The best bet for all of us here is to locate your neighborhood in this article and just stick to the new schedule until it is modified. For example, for me here in La Vena, now trash is going to be collected in the evening and not in the early morning. So that's new for me. And I'm sure we will go through an adjustment period, but soon enough, we'll get used to this and hopefully it will be better a service. Now, yesterday, we also reported how President Claudia Sheinbaum rejected boos and jeers against Jalisco Governor Pablo Lemus during an event at the Public Library of the University of Guadalajara, Jalisco, over the weekend. We learned yesterday that she has vowed to improve highways in the state. But we also learned this morning that she also talked about the return of train travel from Guadalajara to Mexico City. And she also discussed support, financial support for Guadalajara during the upcoming World Cup and the return of the full budget for the Guadalajara University. So all of this is great news for those folks that have been watching this item. I'm excited about train travel. I don't know exactly when the train is going to happen, but at least it's interesting to see that train travel is returning to a lot of Mexico. Also, yesterday, we talked about the user transaction amount, this business of communicating to your bank here in Mexico. The top amount of money transfer that you are authorizing in your bank account without the bank nudging or pausing it for security reasons. And some of you were kind enough to send your own information, which I appreciate. But for example, my bank told me, no, you don't have to come today. Today is the deadline. You can do it next week. A friend of mine told me that it only applies to domestic money transfers, not to international money transfers. So, and now I'm reading in this article that I just mentioned that some accounts are not even eligible for this. So I'm sure some of us are concerned about this, but I insist on what I told you yesterday. The best thing you can do is to contact your banking institution directly and ask if you have any questions about this so that you don't um, get in a situation in which you need to move money quickly and you have to go and authorize it at the bank, or what do I know? Just make sure that you're well informed about this. But remember, the best source of information comes from your banking institution, not from how it went for the next door neighbor, because their banking account may be completely a different scenario from yours. And then moving right along, yesterday, well, this rain took everyone by surprise. It was beautiful. I was here at home doing some work, and all of a sudden, boom, middle of the afternoon, it started raining, and it rained a lot. Um, so this was a surprise for some, but authorities responded quickly. Here's a photo taken yesterday afternoon near Plaza Las Glorias. I'm glad to see that authorities responded quickly, but that said, it is somewhat amazing to me that year after year, it is the same areas of the city that struggle with flooding during rainstorms, and the story keeps repeating itself, and the city continues to not find, even if they're looking, a solution to the problem. But what do I know? All I do here is share the information as I see it. Boom, boom. Now, this one is a little snarky, but I had to share it. Sleep well, our airport is ethical. This is what I found out this morning. Grupo Aeroportuario del Pacífico, the company that manages Puerto Vallarta's international airport, has been recognized as in the 21st place as the most ethical company 2025 in Mexico. This recognition is given to organizations that foster a strong culture based on ethical principles and values. Now, I don't know that ethical principles and values will get you to your destination faster or more comfortably, or will decrease the hassles that you go through when you have to get to the airport early and check in and this, that, and the other. But you can sleep well knowing that our airport is ethical. And that's what I have to say about that one. My last bit of news before we turn over to the weather. As the last week of September approaches, I think we only have one day left. The Puerto Vallarta Highway interchange overpass at Las Juntas remains closed despite its announcement that it would open for the last week of September. The date has arrived, and thousands of motorists continue to face long lines and daily traffic jams in the area, both for those traveling from Puerto Vallarta to Banderas Bay and in the opposite direction. So far, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Public Works has not issued an official statement on the new opening date, although work on the site is still visible. I continue to be intrigued as to whether the overpass will be one way only, which seems kind of wimpy to me. If they're going to build one side, they might as well build two of them. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one until the darn thing is inaugurated, which will hopefully happen soon because I know that a lot of people struggle with this one. I can't wait to see it finished. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. I'm trying an interesting experiment behind the scenes to see if my screens will behave properly, and so far it's working okay. Rain stopping in 2 minutes, says snarky weatherman. He added a fuck yay. It is 29 degrees out there right now. Humidity is at 75%, and our weather forecast for today says we're going to have rain in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon. A chance of rain of 61%, a high of 31, and a low of 24. Tomorrow, Wednesday, rain in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 70%, a high of 31, and again a low of 24. And then Thursday, light rain with scattered thunderstorms throughout the city, a chance of rain of 68%, a high of 32, and a low of 2024. So let me put myself in order here. I have a couple of extra things that I wish to announce. The first one comes from Mexico City. On Sunday, November 2nd, Mexico City's iconic Paseo de la Reforma will transform into a river of color, music, and remembrance as the Day of the Dead Grand Parade returns for its highly anticipated 2025 edition. This extraordinary 4-hour procession honors those who have passed while celebrating the joy of life, offering visitors from around the globe an unforgettable immersion into one of Mexico's most cherished and cultural traditions. This information comes from En route Communications. This is the company, the marketing company based in New York City, if I'm correct, in charge of disseminating publicity about Mexico to the world. So shout out to the nice folk of En route Communication who handle Mexico's marketing as a country beautifully. The press release that I'm mentioning here also mentions interesting festivals that go on in other parts of Mexico, which you may be curious about. It does not tell the story of how Day of the Dead parade was started. We know we can blame it all on James Bond. Boom, boom. And if you don't know what the connection is between James Bond and Mexico City's Day of the Dead parade, well, that's one of the stories that I shared during my Day of the Dead Unpacking Mexico's Favorite Traditional Celebrations presentation. That'll happen on October 30th at the Joint Boutique Hotel. Of course, I realize that not all of you will be in town to watch that, so I'm happy to give it away. If you're curious and you have not heard that story, just write the word Bond, James Bond, under your comment, and I'll be happy to fill you in on the details. I'm also thrilled to announce that the International Friendship Club has a new website, and I'm totally humbled to be listed in the notable supporters category. Thank you so much for that nod, International Friendship Club. It is very humbling and very much appreciated. Last but not least, before we break into chit chat mode, of course, I am working on Benny, the mind, heart, and soul behind ABBA. And of course, we're talking about Benny Andersson, the pianist, composer, arranger, and the emotional engine that gave ABBA its pulse. In this presentation, we'll explore his early days crafting melodies with the Hep Stars, a band that he was associated with prior to forming ABBA. Then we talk about how he met Bjorn Ulvaeus, the fateful partnership that started the band. And then we touch base on how the band just fizzled with a final single released. And we will take a look at that single and see if there were any indications on the music that an ending was coming. And of course, Benny Andersson found a way to heal after the group was disbanded and transformed himself into an amazing composer after the fact. So we will follow the life of Benny Andersson in the next music appreciation presentation. So if you enjoy a good music story, this is what that will be. And I think we are ready to have some chit chat. So let me get my comment window in front of me and see what you have to say. Boom, boom, boom. Da, 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 da. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all. Thank you very much for all those good mornings from all kinds of places. Like Trudy is watching from sunny Winnipeg. And let's see, Vicky is watching from Vancouver. Love it, love it, love it. Hello, Michael. Michael Buford says, new trash collection needs some time to work out. Tons of work to do in Gaviotas. Many streets missed and was collecting at 2:30 a.m. That's crazy. Well, I say let's give him a chance to work out the kinks, and hopefully it will be improved. And of course, Michael, as soon as I see your name, I start craving Thai food, and I wonder why. Could it be that your crew makes amazing food? Probably. Um, Glenn says, I updated my bank transaction limits on the bank app. See, I wanted to do that, but unfortunately, I never used the bank app before. So, in order to activate the bank app, I do have to go to my branch. But again, that's what I need to do to take care of myself. Let's see. And Harold confirms my suspicions that Las Juntas overpass is for northbound traffic only, which is kind of weird. I mean, they could have just made them both overpass, but what do I know? Let's see what else. Da 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 da. Ba-da-dum, bum, bum. Logan says, Buenos dias from an extra long dog walk this Tuesday morning, where I can confirm after yesterday's long rain, the mosquito zancudo and Jejenen population is thriving. Oh, I know that. I know that. That's why I always have bug repellent at here at Casa Chaos. Let's see. Let's see. Was ABBA big in Mexico? Just wondering if ABBA was popular. Are you kidding? Oh my goodness. Well, you wouldn't know because you're Canadian, of course. So I won't audio. Are you kidding you, Laura? ABBA was huge in Latin America. When they came out with that song, I forget if it was Chiquitita. I think it was Chiquitita because they sang it in Spanish. Um, so they were huge all throughout Latin America. So I'm excited about that. Um, Logan says, looking forward to both Benny and Rocky Horror presentations this October. Spooky season. Here we go. That is correct. Let's see what. And then there's, oh, a new person, Miles. Everybody say hello to Miles Maxwell, please. And Miles says Bond. So I'm happy to tell you the story. I even forget the name of the movie, but there was a movie, a James Bond movie, obviously, that was filmed in Mexico City, and the opening scenes show Bond mysteriously moving through a Day of the Dead parade in Mexico City. Beautiful parade with lots of people with painted skull face and giant alebrijes, and it's a perfect scenario to get lost or not followed for a secret agent. And then, of course, Bond climbs on top of this building and is able to see the huge parade from the roof of the building. And that was the way the film opened. But there's a little detail. The parade was fake. It was something that the Bond production put together for the movie. So what ended up happening for Mexico City is that a lot of people started calling travel agencies and the city tourism department. It's like, what is the date of the next year's parade? We want to be there. But Mexico City had no such thing. There was no such thing as a Day of the Dead parade. So after the movie was premiered and there were so many inquiries about the Day of the Dead parade that was fictitious, the city, Mexico City, had no choice but to start doing a Day of the Dead parade every year. And it has been huge. It has been widely successful for Mexico City. So that is the connection between James Bond and the Mexico City, now iconic Day of the Dead parade. Miles says, I've actually been watching you for years, just first time on Facebook Live. Well, that's what calling you out and saying welcome is all about. It's slightly different when you watch later on and when you're able to engage. I know that from experience. So it is great to read you. It is great to see you. And you are correct. It was a great Bond opening for a very mediocre Bond movie. I confess I never watched it, but the opening was phenomenal. So I'm going to hold on to that. And let's see. I think we're done. Yes, we are done. So now it's time to keep working on all these projects that keep me busy. Thank you, as always, for your comments, your company, your ideas, your suggestions, and last but not least, your support. I'll get on with it, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for more coffee, more headlines, and more stories. I hope you have an amazing day. Take care.